Saduds, I have never played a game before that is so directly targeted to my tastes like Arknights Endfield. The elevator pitch is that this is an action RPG with the combat of Xenoblade, the world exploration and building mechanics of Death Stranding, while you play Factorio on the side. I really like all three of those things and they come together perfectly. Not only that, the aesthetics, the world, the map design, the music, the sounds, all line up perfectly to my tastes. I've been playing non-stop for over a week. I am currently at count level 51 and I've maxed out all the factories. Reception to this game has been strange. It seems to be ignored on major gaming news channels that cover new releases, and the only groups talking about this are either mobile gaming channels or sponsored streams. One reason for this is that this game is not on Steam. It's either through their own website or the Epic Game Store. The other reason is that this is a gacha game, and it has the usual baggage with that. If you look online, you will see a lot of bad things about the gacha. Pull currency is backloaded, as well as having an overly complex pity system. But I do think everyone is missing the forest for the trees. Usually in gacha games, anything below a limited character is either niche or useless. But not in Enfield. Every character minus maybe one is viable. And not cope side grade viable, actual best in slot for some team viable. The main character is the top physical DPS. The two best supports are 4 stars, the lowest rarity. To not get too distracted from my point, the gacha does not matter. The importance of characters is low, and as of release, basically everyone is viable. Combat is only 1/3 of the game, and not even the most important part. There is so much content on hand that you forget that it is a gacha game. Play this like a normal RPG, because it is one. The game has 3 distinct parts. The combat is action combat close to Xenoblade, a lot of setup and payoff skills that chain off each other. Exploration in a dense, semi-open world that also has infrastructure management like power lines and zip lines. And a factory which is closer to Satisfactory but with a top-down perspective. All 3 are blended together perfectly. You'll explore around doing the combat, finding secrets. Sometimes you might find an ore patch that you need to tap for the factory. This will require building out power lines to that area as you slowly build up your map infrastructure. These power lines can be used to power secrets, zip lines to get around better, to make more shortcuts. It really feels like you're conquering a zone, not just clearing it. You can then go back to base to build a factory for all the ores you found. Use it to automate parts for other buildings or to make gear for better combat. They flow into each other so well that I would lose hours at a time and not notice. It works amazingly, till it doesn't, and then it falls apart. More on that later. To talk about exploration, we must first talk about graphics. This game is beautiful, and in the best way possible. This is an art direction carry, and the best part about a strong art direction is that this game runs on a potato and can look this good. Lighting carries a lot. Color can still pop while not being overly bright. There is a slight desaturation to almost everything that makes it look soft and just nice to look at. Everything feels like it's part of the world. Nothing has the video gamey look of a spawned-in item. The music and sound design are something else. Just listen to this with headphones. I could fall asleep to this. Music has this drawn-out ethereal feel to it that gives a lot of atmosphere. The factory music seems to take a lot of notes from Satisfactory, but with its own style. And if you wanted something a bit harder, the battle music gives you just that. All of this is going on my playlists. I love the entire soundtrack. I have a reoccurring open world fatigue, and that never seems to go away. This meme rings true, where most open world games are just the same amount of content but spread out. Enfield is not that. Enfield is exactly what I want in video game exploration. The zones are densely packed environments with secrets and shortcuts everywhere. They intertwine and loop back, providing increasingly better ways to get around them. There's a genuine sense of discovery of when you find a secret path, and then seeing where it leads back to. Zip lines are the ultimate form of transportation, and is freeing in a way you don't really see with other games. There is no climbing or gliding in this game, so you're mostly stuck to the platform you're on. But with a zipline, you can skip over massive cliffs that are usually impassable. Placing them is a fun puzzle within themselves. It's not a chore, and I actively look forward to making new zipline routes. Ziplines need power, which is another angle of world exploration, needing to drag out power lines. You would think this would be boring and tedious, but it's not. It's cathartic. You have to make a plan of where you want to bring power and then go about exploring as you do so. At first, I was going to compare this to Death Stranding's kind of building system, but it's actually closer to Satisfactory. There's also just a ton of minigames. There's a Death Stranding style package delivery daily, a stock market with your friends, a tower defense, an extraction game. The last area even showed basic tech for a pressure washer minigame. None of these are really complex or fleshed out, but it could be built on in an event or something like that. All this exploration is there to fuel the factory, the great filter of Endfield. Enfield's factory is one of the easiest in the genre, but I would say it's a decent starting point for someone new. The highest complexity craft in Endfield is about the same as aluminum in Satisfactory, or probably blue circuits in Factorio. Ores and resources are uploaded to the internet, so there's no need for transport logistics. Belts and machines run at fixed speeds as well, so you don't have to worry about flow rates or belts bouncing. Once you learn that 1 item over 2 seconds is 1 belt, and 5 items over 10 seconds is 1 belt, the factory mostly solves itself. Not to say there's no challenge. The main difference between other factory games and this is a restrictive build space. Each factory is rather small, and there is a fixed amount of unloading ports that you have access to. If you're a seasoned factory game player, I would recommend a self-imposed challenge of building as compact as you can, while still using all the unloading ports. You can make things really compact with a few passes. I'm personally proud of this one that makes purple batteries, 1 of each part, as well as purple bottles because I had room. My build got so compact that I had 1 entirely unused factory plot, even though I used up all of my resources. It does hit all the good notes with other factory games. You learn stuff as you build so that when you revisit your old builds, you will see how inefficient they are, delete them all, and build them again. The real purpose of the factory is stock tickets, a currency you get for selling factory items to nearby towns. These tickets upgrade the factory and other buildings, but are mainly used to buy upgrade materials out of a weekly shop. Those upgrade materials are to get better at the combat, which is both a simple and complex system. Each character has a skill, combo skill, and ultimate. Skills can be cast at any time by spending some of the team's shared skill points. Combo skills require a condition to trigger, and then their ultimates build up energy over time. Team building is based around making combo chains and having each member help each other. You can get very creative with your team comps if you take the time to think about them. The team comp I have been using is a non-typical one, but it does work with each team member synergizing with each other. Combat looks hectic, but in practice is mostly just holding down left click and E while following a skill rotation. The complexity is in the team prep, but there isn't that much in practice. There's also a weird downtime where everything is on cooldown and SP is recharging where all you do is basic attack. That part feels a bit awkward. Teams can be rather flexible with multiple side grades. For instance, I can replace my healer Amber for Chen to do more damage. There are a lot of choices in team building, and it's up to you to figure out which one is the best for your playstyle. Currently the most popular buildcraft is purely spreadsheet based, and I think this is naive. It ignores the context of fights and just chases the biggest on-paper damage numbers. That said, most enemies are just DPS dummies, and there's not that much depth to the fights themselves. There's nothing that threatening, and there's no timers on any encounters, so you can just kinda do whatever you want. Character gear is created deterministically in your factory, which is refreshing for one of these games. This gives you a lot of room to play around with and swap gear around. And I guess we have to talk about the elephant in the room, the gacha. The gacha is the way you get characters and weapons. Character rarities are 4, 5, and 6 star. As of 1.0, the rarities seem to be more telling of kit complexity more than anything else. But this will probably change. You have to have a well-balanced team. You cannot just put all the 6 stars on one team and expect to do anything. They have to have matching synergies that work with each other. The main point of contention with this gacha system is a 120 heart pity that does not carry over across banners. This system is technically better on paper than other 3D gacha games where it requires the players to have patience and restraint when pulling, 2 things degenerate gamblers do not have. Personally, I think this is fine as long as pull income keeps up. But it also is unnecessarily complicated for no good reason, and just constantly saving is less fun overall. Weapons come as a byproduct from the gacha. Each character pull also gives arsenal tickets that can be used on the weapon gacha. This system is a lot better than other gachas, as I'm flooded with good 5 and 6 star weapons by just playing the game. The biggest kicker of it all is just how little the gacha really matters. Combat is 1/3 of the game at best, and every character is more than strong enough to do anything. I managed to pull the limited character and her weapon, and I didn't even level her, because I just didn't like her. If I knew what I know now about the gacha, I just never would have pulled limited. Also, to mock me, I wasted a 10 pull to get footage of the gacha animation and I pulled a dupe. I'm still not leveling her. This game is not without faults. There are some pretty glaring ones. In an attempt to make the game more appealing to a broader audience, they seem to just make the first zone incredibly handholdy and just insulting to your intelligence. I think this clip from the main story shows the problem the best.
We need to destroy that anchor first. Nailed it! There's a wall of light blocking the way. Is this the barrier Royal was talking about? You're probably right. When we destroyed the anchor, that barrier seemed to change as well. Yeah, a piece is obviously missing from the symbols. These anchors definitely have something to do with this barrier. The anchors are slowing our progress to reach the cradle of the ages. Indeed. We know little about the situation in this area. Stay vigilant, team. Let's go and take out the remaining anchors.
Edmund, the safety gate to the old mines is back online. Head through to reach the second anchor.
How dumb do you think I am, game? Do you really need to repeat 4 times over that this is a locked door? And then right after the cutscene, a random NPC calls me on the phone to tell me to use the door directly in front of me? This entire scene didn't even need to exist. It could have just been a camera pan to the magic wall and I would have gotten it. Other than the dialogue that's insulting to your intelligence, the game also likes to steal control over you to do the highlight a button and click menus tutorial thing. These type of tutorials are awful, and I've never had one that was good in any game. They also present a list of extra tutorials to do to just waste your time and not teach you anything. I would just skip these. The story isn't much either. Every NPC worships the ground the main character stands on for no reason. This paired with the infantilizing tutorials makes it feel more like they're talking to a toddler than a person. Half of the standing around and talking cutscenes could have been deleted and it would have no impact on the plot. The only saving grace is this leans on the Arknights lore, which is pretty good from what I hear. But all the edges seem to have been sanded off. Honestly, the fan theories on what's happening in the plot are better than the actual plot. The second zone has noticeable improvements in the presentation, but it's still not good. It's just not insulting. Another feature lost in the pursuit of trying to make the game appeal to a broader audience is the fundamental gameplay loop. The loop works because each part feeds into another. You will flow directly from a period of exploration to a period of combat to a period of factory. But through the use of the blueprint system, the factory can be entirely skipped. Now, blueprints are a common feature in factory games, but other factory games do something important with them that Endfield does not. In both Factorio and Satisfactory, fully functioning blueprints are earned in the mid-game. The key part here is that before you can cheat, you must first try. Endfield does not require that from you, and I'm seeing many people refuse to even try. There is nothing wrong with copying. You can learn from copying. There is an issue with copying blindly. The factory in this game is so simple that trying just a little bit is enough to learn almost everything the factory has to offer. I mean this in the kindest way possible. The requirements to make a factory of your own from scratch with no help is basic literacy and 6th grade math. You could probably get by with counting on your fingers instead. It's really not hard. You just have to try a little. This is not an argument of like only true gamers make their own factory, but rather it's just really sad watching the game encourage people to throw away the best part of the game. It's like if you went to the store and you bought yourself a box of double stuffed Oreo cookies, and then you go home, open the container, twist off the top of each cookie, scrape away the cream and throw it away. And then while you're eating your plain cookies, you're complaining about how much work it is to clean them off and how bland and flavorless they taste. All I'm suggesting is that maybe we should try the whole cookie. And if after trying a few you still don't like it, that's fine, keep doing what you're doing, but maybe you should be buying a different cookie instead. Nothing in this game will ever come close to the feeling of finishing a build and just looking at it go. You will get better at it, you will develop new tech and new ways to set things up. Troubleshooting issues become easier because you built it, you know how it works. You will look at your old builds in disgust, seeing all the inefficiencies only to delete it all and rebuild. You don't do this because the game is forcing you to. You do it because you want to. Blueprints are just a tool at the end of the day. And this issue only happens because people can use it to get around the learning period of the early game. It's very important to get the fundamentals down. If blueprints were a tier 2 unlock instead, this would be less of a problem. Past this point, the blueprints are reasonable. I see copy-pasting a fully built factory the same as spoiling a movie. But I know, sometimes you just can't. I'm guilty of the next one of just downloading a mall blueprint in Factorio and putting it down. Earlier I mentioned when the gameplay loop falls apart. In the second region you are given an entirely new factory plot, a new liquid mechanic and a bunch of new buildings. You will quickly find out that there is nothing here. Resources are very scarce and you can only make some batteries and some components. Liquids are barely used and neither are the new buildings. This is clearly a preview of future updates, not a real factory. As the meme goes, the factory must grow. But in Arknights Endfield, the factory stops dead. There are finite resources on the map. Once you tap all of them, there's little reason to explore outside of making zipline routes, and even that has a limit. Once your factory is using all the materials, that's it. You can't build anymore. I mentioned earlier that I had an entirely unused factory plot, and I literally cannot build anything here. There is no point to open world combat either, enemies don't drop anything particularly useful. They're just there to get in the way as you explore. At that point, the game just becomes another daily grind game. I want to build more with the factory, but I cannot. I will have to wait a month for maybe an update, but even then that won't last long. For the loop to resume, all 3 parts have to be added at once, and with how long this game has been in beta, I have some doubts. The idea of your factory will be finished eventually is being touted as a good thing for casuals, but for me it's an overwhelming negative. I have one wish for this game. I want a weekly resetting factory mode, an empty plot, a random quota, make it happen. The rewards don't even need to be good, I just want to do the factory more. My biggest complaint with the game is that it won't let me play anymore. Looking back on the game as a whole, I think all problems come from a singular source, and that source is Gacha. Not Gacha as a mechanic. Randomized characters were a part of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and the roguelike genre as a whole shows that mechanically it's fine. One might say it's the paid gambling aspect, but with the power of not entering your credit card number, this is also not a problem. It's the greater Gacha stigma and the dedicated Gacha community that's the problem. A large portion of dedicated Gacha game players do not play video games. They gamble. They are just here for pulls. All they know is limited character good, all else bad. The constant dumbing down and easing of mechanics can be traced to appealing to this audience that just want to casually pull and not really play the game. I think this review on Google Play shows most of what's wrong with the Gacha community. This game runs very smoothly on my phone. Great optimization, no lag. Gameplay feels solid. However, the Gacha is frustrating. Even with a free 6-star, I had to reroll 19 times to get a good start. For reference, a reroll in this game takes over 1 hour. This person spent over 20 hours redoing the tutorial over and over again to get a good start in a game they have not yet played, nor know what is good. This mindset is so deeply ingrained into the Gacha community that they forget why they're even doing it. If they instead played the game like a normal person, they would quickly realize they don't need a limited character. The idea of a normal video game is completely foreign to them. Gachas also scare off normal gamers as well, because gachas are considered pay-to-win garbage where you have to spend $1,000 every month just to keep up. Whether this is true or not, it does not matter because it will assumed to be. Hell, look at Asmongold's sponsored Endfield stream. He spends the first hour doing the tutorial and the second hour gambling. This is a horrible look and doesn't reflect the game as a whole. But now this is a lot of people's first impression. Endfield badly wants to be a normal video game because it is one. If you play it like a normal box-priced RPG, you will have no issues at all. Even with the gacha, it's almost exactly the same as Xenoblade Chronicles 2, down to the tutorials that take way too long. But it will not reach mainstream gamer appeal because it is stained with the original sin that is gacha. It's also not pure in its sin enough for the gacha community, leaving it ostracized from both. I care a lot about this game, because for once I am the target audience. Everything in this game is targeted directly in my strike zone, and that worries me. This is a live service game, and these games change. Ideally, the game keeps its original vision and adds more what makes it great, but it's just as likely to abandon it all. I can easily see a reality where they instead chase the gacha community, dumbing down the mechanics even further and sidelining the factory. I hope the grant filter does its job. Not in an elitism way, but in a way where the devs feel comfortable with taking the kid gloves off with their audience. Make the factory and combat harder, and add some edge back to the story. Arknights Endfield is an amazing RPG, but a bad gacha game, and I hope it stays that way.